What's up, runners? It's Coach Morgan
and Coach Liz.
And it's not often that we get to be in person to witness one of our athletes' accomplishments because, you know, we're behind the camera so often, but that's all going to change today because we're coaching someone very special. Maybe you've heard of him. His name is Sam from Sam and Colby, their YouTube channel.
Yeah, so the last about 6 to 7 months, we actually got him into our daily run app. We first got him base training in our 30-day challenge. And then once he was ready, after doing that about 2 times, we got him into our marathon program and he is ready. Today is race day.
Right now, we are at the starting line and we're gonna be following him step by step through those 26.2 miles. Follow along. But first, let's take it back to the beginning so we can tell you how this all got started.
So I was training for the New York City Half Marathon and I was spending a lot of time on the treadmill at the gym. Because of this, I literally was in need of something to distract me. So during these long treadmill sessions, I was starting to watch lots of podcasts, specifically the Joe Rogan Experience came up on my feed a lot. So I happened to be watching that, and one day there were these 2 guys, Sam and Colby, and they were ghost hunters. So a little rewind about me, Coach Liz, I actually love ghost hunting. And if I did not become a run coach, you probably would have found me as a ghost hunter at some point. I see these guys and I'm like, oh, they seem pretty cool. I'm gonna go check them out. So I pulled up their channel on YouTube and I started binging their videos, okay? But I got sucked in. After a while, I've been following them on social media. I realized like, hey, number 1, Sam is a runner. And number 2, they put out one of their last videos of 2022 asking their audience, if you guys have your other favorite YouTubers, send them our way, and if you want to see us do more videos with other YouTubers. So I popped in there as the Run Experience. I said Coach Liz and Coach Morgan would love to go on a ghost hunt with you guys. And funny enough, the next day I noticed that the comment got highlighted. So I said, I better follow up. Fun fact, Morgan didn't know that I said this. So sure enough, she was fine with it, but she was like, did you just use me as bait? Fun story there. But eventually I just followed up with an email and reached out to Sam and I said, hey, I heard, Sam, you like to run, and what are the chances that you'd want to maybe train for a race or, you know, half marathon or something. So funny, he got back to me pretty much right away and was like, yeah, actually I'd love to run a marathon. Do you think this is possible to do this year?
We're coaches. That's what we do. Help people realize and execute their goals while learning about the sport and learning how to love it and appreciate it, all while having fun. So the first thing we did was take Sam through our onboarding process where we learned about his history with the sport and athletics so that we could help him build his plan better.
Now, with 26.2 on the plate for the year of 2023, and this whole idea of doing this marathon, eventually Sam decided, hey, I would like to actually do this and let's make our own race. Love to raise some funds to support cancer awareness and also treatments for there. So there's more research being done. Just a note about Sam, his best friend and business partner, Colby, from his channel, came down with cancer at the end of the year. Right around the time that I emailed them, that's when this whole thing was happening and Colby was getting ready to jump into his treatment for that. You can find more information about what his story is and his journey and experience through that by going to their channel. Side note, a little bit about mine is I have lost 2 people very close to me, my sister and my niece, to breast cancer. So very much, this was something huge for me as well, to be able to create awareness, because in my own specific experience with it, it was too late to do anything really about it on both sides. It was an aggressive type of cancer. So personally, this was really, yeah, we've got to let people know that early detection is key in fighting it. So Sam's idea was, I want to run 26 miles, the 26.2 miles of the marathon on the last day I am 26 years old, which happened to be on November 26th, okay? We started talking to Sam earlier in the year, which was fantastic for timing wise. As coaches, we really want to make sure that our athletes have a good base. Now, with Sam being a runner already, he had a pretty good base, but we wanted to get him into our strength training as well. Not just strength training, but build consistency in running. So with a program such as the 30-day challenge, a foundational program that will help you build consistency, but also has quality runs in it, such as a speed session, a form run, a fun run, and that wonderful thing that we love to call the long run. We decided, let's get him into the 30-day challenge, and that will help him to build consistency. We'll address any issues should any come up, and we'll be able to better handle them as we move into the marathon program. Now, Sam did the 30-day challenge twice, as did I when I first started with the run experience, as I was learning the new strength movements and run form drills, and just building consistency for me was a little bit harder, as I was that same type of runner who just liked to go whenever I felt like, ooh, it feels good today, I'm gonna go for a run. Maybe find myself running 2 or 3 times a week. But getting into the 30-day challenge, you run 3 to 4 times a week, and that's what we got Sam doing. Now, also, building the space is important for your lifestyle too, because if you have got lots of things happening, specifically in Sam's situation, he works a lot. He does a lot of filming, lots of traveling to go to these places and film, and spends all night at these places trying to get evidence that there are hauntings or ghosts in the area. So honestly, he had small windows throughout each day to do his training. So getting into the 30-day challenge, he was able to build that base, build consistency, so that when those runs got longer, those strength training sessions got longer, in our marathon program, he was ready for it because he had built that habit.
This was going to give Sam a chance to not only build a base and consistency, but learn how to structure his training around work and social life, just like we all have to do. It's a skill that we hope to instill in all of our athletes, because there are great training plans out there, and we definitely have one of them, but if it doesn't work with your life, then it's not gonna be a good plan.
Now, during the 30-day challenge, Sam, like most of our runners, or most of any runners, started to experience some little niggles here and there, specifically because you have a new structured plan, probably running longer, you're on your feet more, and the strength training is added in.
After that, we had him do the 30-day challenge again, this time adding in mobility and strength exercises from the Injured Runner program and our Runner Strength program in the Daily Run app. This was going to give him the ability to build upon his base and work on any mobility or injuries that started to pop up, so that he could come into marathon training stronger and more confident that any of those issues or injuries that popped up were going to be non-existent once we started marathon training.
And finally, Sam was ready to get into our marathon program. Now, our marathon program really ups the ante, okay? Because you're not just running, your strength training is still, but that strength training becomes more advanced both days. And your runs are getting longer, along with some different styles of speed work, which is typically tempo. All of which is helpful to get you to run a marathon.
We checked in with Sam every week to track his progress and hold space for any questions around training tactics, gear recommendations, nutrition, you name it. And once we got closer, race day logistics.
All of a sudden, you're doing less mileage, you start to feel better, your body starts to adapt, and you actually start to feel good, which most runners end up doing too much because they feel so good. But we advise highly against that and sticking with the program. So we're that close to marathon day. Week of, I fly out to San Francisco, I meet up with Morgan, and we drive down to Santa Monica to go meet Sam for the first time in person. Super excited so that we can get him to the start line and of course the finish line, and to get those funds raised for cancer awareness. And finally,
it was race day. The feeling on the starting line can be very anxious, and when you know that you've had to group 26 other people to run with you, I'm sure the anxiety and the nerves were high. So we were really proud when Sam stayed super consistent, especially in those first few miles, not going out way too fast, which he easily could have, having all that nervous energy. Every person that ran with Sam made sure to check in with him, make sure they weren't going too fast or too slow. Luckily, I had the privilege of, you'll see a lot of the footage, I'm on the bike behind Sam the entire race. So I made sure to, say, hey, we're going a little too fast, or I think we can pick it up here. I was able to carry all of his fuel and nutrition so that he could just focus on putting one foot in front of the other. And with this many people involved in just one race, there was a lot of communication back and forth. I was trying to keep Sam's team and especially Coach Liz involved, and I was trying to communicate back and forth the entire time while getting footage and making sure that everybody was staying on track and on course. After we picked up Coach Liz at about mile 16, the goal was to stick with Sam the rest of the race. And for a few miles, we did really well. Liz and I switched back and forth between her on the bike and me running. Now, when we ran this race on November 26th, I was less than 1 month out from just completing a 100-miler, so I really wasn't sure how my legs were gonna hold up. But as I saw Sam inspire all of these other people to run with him, I knew that I could keep my legs turning over for a few miles. At this point, we're less than 2 miles from the finish line, and I know he's struggling, but he was staying strong and staying really positive, which is definitely what we want to be seeing. At about mile 22, just as Sam's hitting that wall, we had a big group of runners, which I think was definitely the motivation that he needed. And one of the runners wanted to finish the run with Sam, but maybe needed to step back a pace. So Liz and I divided and conquered. I passed off my bike, hopped off, grabbed my GoPro and my phone and everything that I needed. But Sam had to keep running with the other group. So now we're separated, and I'm like, oh gosh. I had to make a mad dash and sprint to catch up. Luckily, I had a little bit of juice left in my legs and I was able to catch up with him. And this just really goes along with Sam's message and being inspiring to so many people. You could see every single person that Sam ran with, they talked about wanting to run more. They were each running 1 mile with him, which is just a small part of this big marathon. So to have all these people show up and really get this inside look into what he was doing was such an incredible thing to see. And then at mile 26, the coolest thing happened. We had a bunch of the other runners come in and finish that last point too with us. And it was just such a cool experience to see so many people cheering him on, motivating him, and helping him cross the finish line of this huge accomplishment. We could not be more proud of Sam. His training was consistent, and that showed on race day. If you want the insider scoop on how this race went, we want Sam to tell his side of the story. So be sure to check out his video down in the description so that you can get all the nitty-gritty on why he signed up for this race and how it went for him and the struggles that he had to overcome to get to that finish line. Go check it out.
What a ride. Honestly, running has gotten me through so many of life's ups and downs personally. Anytime something is bothering me or something big, a big life event happens, I always find myself outside in nature running. It does such a huge thing for my mental clarity, but also in the way I see myself. Not my body so much, as I have been in that zone before, but more so how I see myself as a person and being one with everybody else on this planet, being another human being. And I know that the other coaches can attest to this as well. Running has such a positive impact on me and all of us because of the goal setting and then the working towards the goal, then reaching goals, and sometimes failing, but finding better ways to reach those goals. So running and its positive effect on me and our entire team here, we couldn't have been happier to be part of a project like this. And we're so grateful that Sam chose us to be on this journey with him, to guide him through his 26.2 journey, and then ultimately him sharing his journey with the world. So really hope that everybody who gets to see his video and ours is just inspired to just throw on some shoes, get outside, get into nature, get on the road, whatever you can do, because it has done so much for us. Huge thanks to Sam and his entire team. We hope you find running and it finds you as well.